Chapter 7. One More Championship. As the 1970 World Cup approached, Pelé reconsidered playing for Brazil. The poor sportsmanship of the last cup tournament had concerned him, but if Pelé played for his national team now, he would become one of a handful of players ever to take part in 4 World Cups. By this time, even more people than usual were able to watch Pelé. This was the first World Cup to be broadcast live in color on TV. More than 1 billion people were now watching the greatest player ever. Some had only read about him or seen grainy black and white highlights. In front of this huge audience, Pelé and Brazil put on an amazing show of soccer. Pelé scored a goal in the team's first game, a win over Czechoslovakia. He then made a pass that led to the only goal in Brazil's 1-0 win over England. Victories over Peru, Romania, and Uruguay sent Brazil to the final game against Italy. Early in that game, Pelé rose above a defender to hit the ball with his head. Pelé smacked the ball off his forehead and into the goal. As he had done more than 1,000 times before, he raced around the field celebrating with his teammates. The pictures of that celebration in Mexico were now being shared around the world. The celebration continued after Brazil won the game and their 3rd World Cup, beating Italy 4-1. Once again, Pelé's teammates and some fans carried him off the field on their shoulders. Before the big party that night, Pelé went back to the dressing room. He took time to pray and thank God for all that had happened. Once back in Brazil, the team enjoyed more parades and parties. Finally, Pelé left the celebrations behind. He wanted to be back in Santos with Rosemary, who was pregnant. In August, their son, Edson, was born, but everyone called him by his nickname, Edinho. After the 1970 World Cup, Pelé wanted to go back and finish high school. He wanted to eventually go to college. As he traveled more and more, he realized how important education was. He wanted to set an example for his children. But to earn a spot at a university, he had to pass some tough tests. He worked with teachers and studied hard. Pelé was accepted at the University of Santos in the fall of 1970. Over the next 3 years, he took classes between playing games for Santos and earned a degree in physical education. During this time, he decided to stop playing for Brazil's national team for good. After a game on July 18, 1971, he took off his bright yellow jersey for the final time. He ran a lap around the field to thank the 180,000 people who had packed the stadium. In his final years with Santos, he made sure to use his fame to help other players. For many years, pro soccer players in Brazil were not paid anything near what they deserved. They were also not protected as other workers were. If a player was injured, some teams would not even pay their medical bills. Pelé and other star players met with government officials to try to correct this. They didn't get very far, and it would be years before the situation improved. Pelé also got a chance to teach soccer to children. He signed a deal with Pepsi that created a worldwide series of soccer clinics. Pelé planned the lessons and even worked at some of the clinics. He also recorded a video with his good friend Santos coach Julio Mazzai. that showed young people how to improve their soccer skills. And then Pele wrapped up his long career with the Santos team. In a game on October 2nd, 1974, he suddenly grabbed the ball with his hands. He ran it to the center circle of the field and knelt down with his hands in the air. This was a signal to everyone in the stadium that he was leaving the field and the sport for good. It took a moment for everyone to realize what Pele meant, but then they understood. The crowd realized what I was doing, he wrote later. I was honoring them for the years they had honored me. And that was it. As the crowd cheered and his teammates and opponents clapped, Pele walked slowly off the field for the final time in Brazil. With the Santos and Brazil teams, Pele had already conquered most of the world of soccer. He was the only 3-time World Cup champion and was among the leading goal scorers of all time. He was a Brazilian national treasure and a hero to billions of fans around the world. But he had his eye on a new goal, the United States.